Hey, Phil and Will are back. We're doing our Bootlist challenge this week. If you've been paying attention with us for a while now, we've been saying Bootlist challenge not going to be for buffs this year. We did our prop bet, which is going to be for buffs. Yeah, it's been a long off season, and it just keeps dragging, and it's bad. I mean, what do we have? 5 weeks left, Willie? Do you know? 5 weeks, right?
I kind of stopped counting because I once we hit August, it felt like it was really close because you'd be like, "Oh, next month Survivor is on," but now it's still August, and we still have at least another week in August, and then it's like 3 or 4 more weeks after that. So I think it's 4 or 5. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have no idea what you just said.
I kind of want it to sneak up on me if it can.
Oh yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, it's like it's one of those. I was looking at Twitter today, and somebody said only 3 more weeks till Survivor, and I was like, that's not right. That's completely not right. And then I got excited that they pushed the air date up for some reason because it was following up something. It wasn't right. So that was depressing. I got my hopes really high, and then they went really low. But yeah, we're still here talking Survivor season 31. We've been talking it for a while. We were excited at the beginning. By the time the cast starts, God, I'm gonna be miserable because how many times have we already talked about it? If it doesn't play
Well,
out the
I
way I
mean,
want, I'm gonna be sad.
it hasn't gotten old yet, but it will, by 5 weeks' time. So what we've done already is we've done the prop bet game, and that's the one where you can win a buff. We have two videos, one where we came up with the bets, and then another one where we made our own bets. You can
Think
comment.
about that, guys. Think about that, guys. We made a video to come up with the bets. That's how much we've been struggling for things right now. We're like out of ideas. We keep, or we were out of ideas. Now I think we have a couple good ones. Some funny comments last time on the last video.
There were. We'll get
Yeah.
to those. But yeah, so enter the prop bet game. I think we're between 80 and 90 right now. I think.
Yeah. I
We're
I
coming on to
haven't really
100
checked in
pretty
a
soon.
while. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we did last week. We did our fantasy drafts where I drafted. I mean, one of the best fantasy teams in the world. Phil's team was miserable.
It was pretty bad, actually. I was looking at it. I don't know why I picked that team.
I don't know either. I feel like I stole the show. I feel like I have all my favorite players.
Yeah, but you can't steal the show from me. Sorry. You can try, but you'll
Well, you
never
have to make
succeed.
it up here. And this is the boot list game. So you can submit a boot list if you would like, but there's no reward for winning.
And we're not scoring.
Uh,
That was a pain last year.
that was tough. Yeah, the prop bet will be easier to score. So the rules for this one is basically the difference in placement between where you have them and their real placement is how many points you get, and you don't want points. So a perfect boot list would give you 0 points, and that's a perfect score.
Yeah.
Who won last? What was this winning score last year? We had a bunch. We had like what? Almost 100 entries last year, I think.
I think we
Maybe
ended up with like
95.
94 or 95. And then people started entering after the season started. And we were like, oh,
It's
that's
cheating.
cheating.
Cheating. Yeah, that's what it
Yeah,
is.
that's what that's called. Hang on.
But I mean, there's some super high scores. It's a tough game. I feel like we might have similar lists though.
For this one?
Just because we've been talking about these players and pregame alliances and their chances and all this stuff. So I feel like our way of thinking, could be
But yeah,
pretty
because
similar.
we know who we like. And I know who you like and you know who I like. The winner was Jokesters. Can you hear me?
Yeah. And how many
Okay.
points did he have?
He had 60. That's pretty good. Like he only had one double digit boot. He only had one boot that was worth 10 or more points. So that was pretty good because, I think even second place was in the 80s.
Yeah. I think we're gonna break under 50. I'll kick this one off if you want. I have I'm actually up in the middle between two people right now. I'm gonna go with Abby Maria though at 18.
Okay. Wait, at 20.
Oh,
See,
at
I did
20.
this too.
Yeah,
I did the
right.
same.
20.
All right. Well, I have the exact same thing. I have Abby Maria at 20. So if you want to go first and talk about it.
I mean, is there much to say at this point about Abby Maria and her chances? She's extremely weak physically, and the only reason she kind of lasted long in the Philippines was because her tribe, they never went to tribal, did they?
Not one time.
Right.
Even after the
So-
swap, even after the little swap where they got Malcolm and the other tribe got Denise, they didn't lose the next two challenges.
So she didn't go to tribal once pre-merge, is what you're saying.
Uh-uh.
So that's why she kind of lasted deep into the game, because then once you get to the merge, she's not a threat at all to anybody. And, not physically, socially, jury votes, no way, no how. She's not a threat. But she's so bad at challenges. I mean, I don't know how they won all those challenges with her on the team, but I think she's on the weaker tribe, and it would be such an easy first boot if you're on that tribe.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's the weaker tribe, but the reason that her tribe never lost was because it was the whole 3 tribe. You just don't have to lose thing, and that Mad Singh tribe was dreadful with Russell, Angie, Roxy, and Zayn,
right.
And then Malcolm and Denise come out of there and end up in the final 4. But I mean, that tribe was terrible, and they lost so much. And then when they finally just had to win, I mean, they were up against the tribe that got Denise. They got Malcolm, and they already had Pete. They had Artis, who was, kind of strong for his age. Scoopin was pretty strong, even though he's an idiot. And then, I mean, you still had RC, and who was the other girl on that tribe? Oh, Lisa, who really actually wasn't bad for an older woman at challenges. She just annoyed the hell out of me with her crying. But yeah, I mean, Abby Maria, there's no way. I think that's the worst tribe. I think they're going to be the ones who lose first. If that tribe loses, there's no way Abby Maria goes far because nobody's going to want to take her as a goat because her mouth's too big.
Yeah, she's just not pleasant to be around. So even if she sticks around for a few episodes, there's so many good players this game. I need to put Abby Maria there at 18. And it seems like you're honest.
If you could put a bet down, let's say an over, and it was just the best place Abby Maria can finish. And I'm not saying obviously you would take the under and say that she'd go 20th to 18th. But what do you think the best place that she can actually finish in the season is? Do you think she has any chance at all to make the merge here?
If somehow Takeo or whatever her tribe's called, if they, let's say, win 2 challenges and then there's the tribe dissolve where there's now 3 tribes of 6, and then you only have to not lose, then the same thing can happen in Philippines, and then there's a swap back to 2, and then there's alliances going at that point, and maybe she's a vote. It wouldn't be crazy for that to happen, for her to keep slipping down. And then once she hits the merge, the same thing could happen. She could be in the final 2 or final 3 just because of how much of a goat she is. So, I mean, the best possible is probably 2nd place or 3rd place.
Okay, so I didn't think about that with the whole if they actually go to 3 tribes. I mean, if it stays at 2 tribes, if they don't actually do a 3-tribe thing, I don't think that there's any way Abby Maria survives the first 2 votes from her tribe. I just don't think it happens.
Yeah, unless there's some pregame alliances that she's a part of, but I don't think so.
No, I don't either. All right, let's move on to 19.
And this might be similar again too.
I'm making you go first.
I have Cass.
Right, so do I. Yeah, I mean, those 2, I figured were both going to be our bottom 2. I figured there was no way that we were going to put them any higher because even if one of them can make a run, how do they make the run? How does Cass, she could go far, but there's just such better odds of her finishing 14th or worse in this game. I don't see her and Abby Maria making it very far.
The thing with Cass is that she is on that stronger tribe. And, I mean, what Shane was saying, how, she called everybody pregame. She was, trying to wheel and deal. That can put a target on your back so quickly. And I'm with you. I think Abby Marie actually has a better chance to go farther if some kind of wacky thing happens. I think Cass, there's no way she even makes the merge.
I think the difference between Abby Marie and Cass is in the grand scheme of it, Cass could win if she learned. Abby Marie has no chance to ever win the game. So I could see Abby Marie going further because people are like, well, there's no way she's going to win. We'll just use her as a number for now. Cass could win the game if she doesn't come out as annoying as she did the first time, and she's a person who could change a little bit out on the show. Abby Marie, I don't see changing.
But even if she did change, I don't think it's enough because let's say, let's say she's a new woman and she's just this sweetheart, so nice, just amazing to be around. It's still in people's heads. She has that bad reputation, so I think it's almost too late to kind of change because of how dreadful she was on her first season.
And what floors me about these 2 is how repulsed the entire cast was by them their entire first season. Nobody liked them the entire time, and yet somehow they finished 3rd and 5th in their seasons. How does that happen? The 2 of them.
It's called
very well one Kagayan. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, Abby Maria never had a chance to win, but I mean, oof. You know,
It's called being a goat. I mean, that's
yeah,
what happens. You get led to the slaughter. Um, and man, I mean, if it was a final three in Kagayan, Cass is sitting there in the finals.
yeah, exactly.
She
And
gets
probably gets more votes than Wu.
yeah, maybe. I think and yeah, potentially.
Like,
Um,
close.
I mean, she definitely get more prize money.
Yeah.
Okay. 17. Now this is where it gets tricky because those two are kind of obvious picks to put at or what are we at? 18 now? At
18.
20 and
Yeah.
19, that was pretty obvious. Um let's see. I'm gonna go with Shireen here. Just because I don't think she's that strong and I think she's pretty darn annoying. I mean, those are just two things that will get you voted out pre-merge.
Yeah. I don't have Shireen at 18. I have her at 17. So we can just talk about Shireen now. I'll skip ahead one and I'll give my 17 first, but she's God. It's like, why is it that like the women on the season are most known for like being annoyances to the tribe? Like at least like these first three women that we've mentioned, and then I mean Kimmy's going to be coming up soon. They're known for being annoyances. Like, why aren't there more people like Sierra, like Tasha, like why like even Kelly Wigglesworth or Kelly Wentworth? Why aren't there more like women on this season like that? Like, why couldn't Teresa have gotten in over that? And I know you're like lukewarm on Teresa, and
No, I
she was
like
okay in Africa, but like, why couldn't they have gotten in over like an Abby Maria, a Cass, or a Shireen who were all locks?
Yeah, I think it's just the entertainment. Like we like seeing people annoyed because it's funny and that creates drama and conflict, and that's what you want to see on TV. It doesn't mean you're a good player by any means. I think Teresa has a better shot if she comes back than any of the women we've mentioned.
But
Um,
my whole thing is, I guess my point here is Shireen really that entertaining? I mean, her raising her hand at Will was hysterical, like so that Will couldn't see his like
that
loved
was a
one
great
letters
moment.
or any of that stuff. But like, was Shireen really that entertaining otherwise?
Not at all. I mean, not to me. Not even and it was tough with Shireen because you want to like her and she's such a big fan. But early on in the season, they make you think she's the most annoying person in the world. The editors did not try to cut her any slack at all or hide anything about. I mean, if they knew that whole thing with Will was, forthcoming, I feel like they should have painted her a little bit better earlier. You know what I
Because
mean?
they even showed Will in a good light in the beginning of the season. They showed her negatively, and then when that all happened, it was like, wait, why did Will become this evil man, and why did Shireen become this victim now? When at the beginning, Shireen was the one who was being kind of annoying to everybody, and Will was the one who was being shown positive. He's going to make sandwiches, and he's such a positive force with Nina and stuff. It was kind of weird the way Worlds Apart was edited. There was really nobody to like on that whole season.
Yeah, the editing. We've talked about that a lot. We don't really like the editing of that season, but back to Shireen here. I just do. If she makes the merge, I still don't. I still don't see her being far because she loves strategy. She said that so much on the show. And even if she's not like this huge threat, I think people are just wary of her that she is here to win and here to play. So even if she does make the merge, I could see her going early in the merge as well.
Yeah, I think that people should be scared that Shireen, you know, she does know how to play the game. I think that she was in over her head and was trying too hard to like fit in and, play up like the whole I love Survivor thing the first time around. And then it started to hit her more when everybody started to be really mean to her. And I think this time she's going to come out kind of firing a little bit, which might scare people. But, there are three people from her season on the show. So who knows? Or no, it's just the two of them. Wait.
Yeah,
Wait,
just Joe.
it's
Just Joe.
just the two of them. But people did just see her play and stuff, and they might not look at her as much of a threat. So it'll be interesting. I have her at 17. I don't see her going any higher than 10th on the season. Like you said, early merge. Even if she makes the merge, there's no way she's going to be in the. I don't think she'll be in the Power Alliance, and if she is, they'll try to get rid of her before she flips because they'll know that she's willing to.
Right. I hear you. Who do you have at 18 then?
At my 18, I actually have Vetus, and I had him as my hashtag blindside in the other game. And I think Vetus is screwed in this season. Like, he might have had pregame alliances, but I think people are just going to see him as like the biggest snake out there. And I think he's in a lot of trouble. So I have Vetus at 18. I don't see him nobody's gonna let him if he hits the merge. There's no way anybody lets him get far enough into the game because he could play a game where he just flips and flops the entire time. And I think people saw a lot of the fakeness in Blood versus Water, especially like, the way he was playing it up and playing up the whole brother thing and all that stuff. Like, I think that Vetus, they're going to see through him on this season, and they know what to expect from him, and they're not going to want to let him get far because he's dangerous.
Yeah, you've really been kind of hard on Vetus here, and you could be right very easily, but I don't see it as much as you. So, I mean, I hope we can, either one of us will gain a lot of points on Vetus, I think, here, because I certainly don't have him coming up so soon. Because I also really like his tribe. Like,
his tribe is good.
I mean, both tribes are really good. It's hard. I like both tribes a lot. But I think he can fit in with, Spencer, and I think Spencer can pull along Wu. And then, there's like Shireen, Abby, Maria, and maybe even Wigglesworth, and maybe even PG are all pretty easy people to convince that, hey, we need to get these people out of here. Abby, Maria, and Shireen for challenge stuff. And then Wigglesworth, if her head's not in the game, if she doesn't want to be a part of an alliance, something like that, you don't really want that person floating around too long. And then PG has been, annoying also. So,
well, like I was saying though, I forget which podcast it was. It might have been the prop bet one. With this tribe, I could see the women teaming up against the men, like really, like easily. With Abby, Maria, Wentworth, who's got such a chip on her shoulder, Wigglesworth, PG, and Shireen. PG, Shireen, and Abby Maria, I could easily see the three of them being like, hey, everybody's going to view us as kind of annoying. We should team up. And then Wentworth and Wigglesworth are like, they really just don't want to be the ones who get screwed. I mean, they might play it safe and just get rid of those three. But at the same time, I could see them being like, all right, let's take out the men. And then they can maybe get Jeff Varner over on their side. Or, maybe even a Spencer who realizes, hey, if we're going to pick off the other men before me, that puts me at 5th on the, on this tribe at getting voted off. And he just has to hang it out, kind of like he did in Kagayan.
Yeah, potentially. But the problem with the men teaming up on the women is that you have Abby Maria as one of the women. And
yeah, no.
I think she's going to be the first one off that tribe, and then it's going to be 5-4, and then it's tough to do that. So that's my only kind of problem with that. My next one, I mean, this might sound crazy, but I'm going to go with PG here.
At 17?
Yeah, and I've been down on PG. I was kind of surprised how many fans she had and stuff. Because I remember
a lot of love on our last video. Like, people were saying that we're underestimating her and Kimmy.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, I'll underestimate her until I'm wrong. I mean, when I look here at who, and there's going to be blind sides. It's not like we think we're predicting the right boot order. It's more just grouping people together. I think these people are going to go pre-merge, and then these people are going to go deep, and then you kind of have people in the middle that could go either way. And I think PG is going to go pre-merge just because I don't think not that she's a huge challenge liability, but on this season with so many strong competitors, she definitely is one of the weaker challenge people, right?
PG is definitely one of the weaker challenge people, but I think PG was good at puzzles, but she could also fall into the same thing as with Shireen, where people know that she's willing to flip, and she's a strategist. I mean, I had her when we did our little, first-time player or one-time player draft. I picked PG, and you were, like, shocked by that. You're like, why would you pick PG? She can't win the game. And I honestly think PG can win the game. And if you read, Courtney Yates' interview on Redmond's little website, Courtney Yates was saying that, like, PG easily could have won that season. She just doesn't get social cues that much. Like, she didn't understand the social cues a lot of the time. And Courtney was like, I liked PG out there, but half of the time it was me yelling at her because she would just come around at the wrong time. But I feel like people did like PG, and I feel like they respected the way she played. Would she have beaten Todd, Courtney, or Amanda? Absolutely not. But if she goes in there against –
But look at this cast. That was just an all newbie cast. And she doesn't beat Denise. She doesn't beat James. She doesn't beat Todd.
No,
you think she beats Denise, the cafeteria lunch lady who was? I thought they what?
No, go back and rewatch China, dude. Courtney makes fun of Denise so bad in that season.
Courtney makes fun of everybody.
They did not like Denise. They dragged Denise along because she was their number the entire time. They knew she wasn't in the game.
But they would have. You think so? Okay, maybe. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I think they were really. It seemed to me by the edit they were all really annoyed by PG, just irritated. Like James would not have voted for PG. He would have voted for Denise.
Well,
John Robert John Robert would have voted for Denise.
I don't know. I think that PG, in terms of the first four girls that you have up there, for having PG at 17, which I completely get why you would have PG at 17, but in terms of all of those girls, she definitely has the least amount to overcome out of those four. Like, I think that PG could go all the way and win the game, whereas the other three I don't think have any chance to win the game.
I don't think PG has a chance to win the game at all. I think she'd go really far. I think if she's playing a really good game and she's changed and all that, then she's too much of a threat and then she'll be booted. And if she's kind of the annoying person that's a GOAT, she can get to the end, but she won't get any votes. I think she's not going to play this great game and get to the end. It just, with this cast, it's not going to happen. There are too many bigger threats and better players that if she's in the final three with, you know?
I hear you. I mean,
this could be a terrible pick right now, and she ends up being the runner-up. And I'm going to lose a lot of points on her. I don't see her winning.
Okay.
I mean, it's easy to say, only one out of 20 people is going to win. It's not like this really bold prediction.
I mean, it's not like we can really prove, like, hey, Willie was wrong, even if PG gets, like, 5th place, because we don't know how the votes would have played out. So, yeah, it's really not – I could go down this line and say 17 of these people don't have a chance to win, and as long as one of the three that I said could win, I look like I'm a genius, right?
Right. But, I mean, if you look at China – Todd, Amanda, Courtney, James, maybe Denise on the fence. I mean, that's 4 people, maybe 5 people just on her season alone of newbies that could have beaten her. And now we're dealing with all-stars.
That is probably, in terms of first-time players, that's probably the most competitive season that the show ever had, where anybody could have won that season the whole time, except for probably Jamie and Jean Robert. Because Jamie, nobody really liked Jamie. Like, Jamie was just kind of like the ditzy blonde to all of them, even though I don't think she was dumb. And none of them like Jean Robert. But I think anybody else on that season, I don't think that they would have voted for Denise because I don't think they really respected Denise's gameplay. I think they were using her the whole time. But anybody else on that season could have won. I mean, Courtney finished 2nd. Like, it's crazy to, like, think about that season.
It is.
So,
all right, well, you're up now, I guess.
Wow, you're making me go, huh? See, now is when I kind of was just typing them, and I don't really like the order I have them in. Let me look real quick.
My problem with this is that I am so on the Bayonne tribe as like they're going to win these challenges. They're just stronger. It looks like both mentally and physically. But I'm loading up on Takeo here for my boot list early. If there's a swap or a dissolve, then I'm kind of I'm shooting myself in the foot. So. Yeah. But I don't want to jump on putting Bayonne people now because, I already have cast, but, I don't know who I'd really put next. I see so many people on the Takeo tribe that I think would go, but I'll have to figure it out. But I'm interested to hear what you got to say.
I'm honestly at 16. Who I have there, I don't want to put there. I don't want to put them there at all. All right, at 16. I'm going to go – God, I'm going to go with Kimmy, and it's kind of everything we've already said, and like I mentioned earlier, the women who got brought onto this season, like it's kind of annoying how it was done, and I think Kimmy can change, and a lot of people – she was one of the ones that people were like defending in our last podcast that like we were being too hard on Kimmy, but just going based on what I saw – I got to go Kimmy here because I don't think Kimmy's very strong. And even if she has grown up and she has matured, she's 42 years old. Like, she's not young. And if Cass goes first, how do you get rid of Savage, Sierra, maybe Sierra, but Jeremy, Joe, Keith, Tasha, Steven, and even Monica before you get rid of Kimmy? Maybe they get rid of Monica because they don't really they don't think Monica deserves to be there. But how does that happen before they get rid of Kimmy as the second one off that tribe?
Tribe swap.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what makes this really hard. I mean, I want to put Kimmy next even. I'm even thinking about it. But, I mean, how do we think she is in challenges? She can't be that good, right?
I don't think she was that good in the first season. I don't think she's that good in this season.
And now she's 15 years older?
Now she's 15 years old. And that's the other thing, too. she played on season 2. She's probably not in as much contact as the 7 players or the 11 players, whatever, from season 28, 29, and 30. What is it, 10 players or whatever it is? However many players are, that's half the cast is from 3 seasons. And Kimmy's from way early, and I know Wigglesworth is there and Jeff is there, but Jeff didn't like her. And Wigglesworth I don't know how Wigglesworth feels about anybody, so I don't really like Kimmy's chance unless there is a swap, or she made some pregame alliances, or she just comes out and somehow is a provider or something, or gets in the right alliance. I mean, this is a really hard one to predict because there's a good reason why everybody could go far because they're a GOAT or something, or why they could be booted early. So I'm just kind of trying to play it safe and assume Kimmy's not going to change.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep Kimmy around a little bit just because I don't know. I don't want to load because there are GOATs that go far every season, so I got to keep a couple of them, going deep.
Yeah.
You can't have your final 5 or 6 be like all superstar studs. So I'm gonna go with this might shock you a little bit. I'm gonna go with Savage.
Wow, that does shock me.
And this is for 16. So, I just don't see. I don't know if he'll fit in on his tribe that well. I think Joe and Steven will get along. I think Keith and Jeremy, they kind of have at least a little bit of history, and maybe, Jeremy can be like, this time, don't be an idiot. And I think, like you said last time, Keith is going to try to prove himself that he can play the game. And Savage may fit in well with Jeremy. I don't see him getting along with Keith that well. And then the women, I don't see really. I mean, maybe Tasha. I don't know.
I see Savage getting along well with his tribe. I think him and Jeremy are going to hit it off. Him and Keith are the closest in age out there. I mean, they're both old, and Keith's only 3 years.
I don't see Keith and Savage like.
They're not going to be buddy, but I could totally see that being like an odd couple type deal. I mean, I think Jeremy and Savage are going to try to bond right off the bat, and I think that's where it's going to come from, is that Keith and Jeremy – I think Keith and Jeremy are going to go to each other the same way Spencer and Wu are going to go to each other, where it's like, hey, last time I know you messed up, but, this time you got to prove yourself and you can do it. I want to work with you. And then I think the next person Jeremy goes to is either Tasha or Savage.
Yeah, I worry about Savage too if there's a swap. I feel like it's a safe because he's a little bit threatening, but not someone that's going to maybe have an idol, not someone who's going to have someone play an idol for them. If there's going to be one of these kind of pre-merge blind sides, that's not like a huge vote, but someone not you'd expect like Kimmy, I think Savage might take the bullet there. So that's why I have it 16. I'll go with 15. I guess we'll just rotate too so that we switch who's hearing go first. I'm going to throw Sierra here. And I think there's a lot of good reasons that Sierra might go early. She's not that strong in challenges, and she's proven to be a pretty big threat strategically and kind of devious. I mean, the lies she spun on Blood vs. Water were quite good. She asked Katie, or Katie told her, I have the idol. And then Sierra said, no, you don't. I have it. And then Katie's like, darn. And Sierra that was just quick on her feet. It wasn't like she planned that or anything. So that was she's shown her savviness. So I could see people being threatened by that, her cunning side.
And I think that's kind of what we're getting at here is there's really, in terms of the guys on this season, there's 3 strategists that are guys. I feel like that were known for their strategy on their first season. That's Vetus, Spencer, and Steven. I think those are the 3 who were like known strictly for their strategy. Like they're considered like 3 of the better strategists to ever play. Spencer and Steven, I'd probably say like top, like 2 of like the top like 5 or 6.
Vetus is considered one of the
Vetus
best.
isn't that high, but no, I wouldn't call him the best ever. But I think that's why he's going to go earlier, is because people are just going to see him as more of like the Boston Rob from All Stars, where it's whatever I have to do to get to the end. Whereas I think Steven and Spencer can play the social game better, and that's why they both did better than Vetus on their seasons. And it's funny because, we get Sierra here, and I fear for Sierra too. I have her at 14. But we keep saying, like, if Sierra, PG, and who was the other one? And Shireen could all be seen as strategists. Now, granted, Shireen and PG we see as annoying too. But, like, them being seen as strategists, and we have them going, like, this early because I think that, like, the strategists are going to be targeted early here. So I'm surprised neither of us have said Steven or Spencer yet.
I mean, I have Spencer coming up pretty soon, so
Okay, because it's almost like we're very heavy on the girls getting voted out earlier. And do you think that's just like the old school thinking where now because there are players who played in like the first 15 seasons, maybe they just get rid of like the weaker players first? Because I know if you're looking at the old seasons, Kimmy wasn't known for her strategy, Kelly wasn't known for her strategy, and they're the two women who are back. There's no really devious female players from those early seasons that were only devious. Does that make sense? Like, I'm sure there are some, but none that were really like, hey, we got to bring them back because, they made it this far because they were just strategists. I feel like the strategists came later.
Yeah, totally. And it's not just the women. It's like I don't think you have really you have Rob and Amazon, who's like the heavy strategy. But then you don't see that type of play really until
Fair playing.
Yeah, I mean, fair play was bouncing back a lot. That's true. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of like the big female strategist. Who is the big female? Is it like Parvati? I guess that's
Parvati's the one, and
everyone goes to her immediately. But was there anyone before her? I mean, Danny, we just didn't get to hear from, so maybe she had strategy that was better than we think.
Like, was Parvati just like Parvati has to be like the first, like, oh, they thought she would be weaker in challenges, although she was pretty strong. I mean, she is a good challenge competitor, but was she like the first one where they're like, oh, we think she's going to be weak in challenges, we don't have to get rid of her, and then it comes back to bite everybody in the ass because of how strategic she was? Because in a lot of the earlier seasons, the younger girls who were weaker but could have been strategists, they got voted out right away because they were just seen as weaker. And that was just the way the voting went back then.
Yeah, but are you talking about Cook Islands Parvati or Micronesia? Because in Micronesia, she was labeled as a threat immediately, day one. And Cook Islands, she kind of snuck on through. And then later, they're like, wow, she's strong.
Was she like the first like female player that'll really just sneak right through like that? Or are we just missing somebody? I feel like she's like one of the first ones to really sneak through. I guess you could say Amber just snuck along the entire time, but I don't think she really did anything strategic where you're sitting there putting her on Sierra's level in terms of strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly there's no like Sierra from the early days, if that's kind of what we're getting at.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of went off on a tangent there, but I'm just trying to think, like, we're putting a lot of like the strategists lower, and it seems like towards the end we're going to have a lot of the people who are more physical. Like, is this just like the old school way of thinking? Is that's kind of what's happening here, where the strategists are just going to be weaker in challenges and go? Men and women too.
It's also because we're doing the Bootlist game so that we have to kind of cover our own butts we're making this once right now.
Yeah.
And we do the power rankings, which we change every week. And that gives us, leeway to predict, I think this person's gonna get blindsided this week, but we don't have any information yet. So we kind of have to load up the weaker players early on, or else you're taking a risk gaining a lot of points if they get deep into the game, and you don't want points. So I think that's more why we have them.
Suri in Panama. They're all screaming at us on the thing. We completely forgot about Suri in Panama. She is
there we go.
That's the definitive. Okay. Sorry, we couldn't remember her. She is the definitive where it's, yes, Suri, because she should have been the first one voted out of her tribe, and she ends up going on and should have won the whole damn game back then. Friggin' Terry had to help Danielle make a fire.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking maybe of like younger, attractive women, and she's like a mom. And I was just thinking completely differently, but that's very true. She was a great female strategist from the early days.
Yeah. All right. Well, I had Sierra at 14. At 15, I have Jeff Varner, and I want Jeff to go far, but I could see him being a huge liability like early on. Like, the guy's gotten big. Like, he's gotten pretty fat. I mean, the first time he played, I didn't realize when the voting came out that Jeff Varner was Jeff Varner. Like, I knew that he was like going to be a finalist because of all the spoilers we had gotten, but I had no idea that he was actually going to be like that's what he looked like. And when that picture came up, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? I mean, Jeff's gotten bigger. Jeff's gotten older. I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff just becomes a liability where it's like, hey, he's not worth keeping around because he's weak. Or even if they switch up, he just ends up on the wrong side of the numbers because he played so long ago.
Yeah, I mean, I have him coming up. Not my next pick, with the one after. So I'm pretty much in agreement with you. If they're going to get rid of a guy early, I think it's going to be Spencer or Varner. I think Vitas, he's still pretty good at challenges. Spencer's pretty good at challenges. Do you think he's the weakest of the men on his tribe, Jeff?
Yeah. I
Right.
think
That's kind of what my thinking is, and that's why he's going to be my first male on that tribe.
I think Jeff's the weakest guy in the whole season.
Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, easily. Yeah, like easily, I would say. Because I mean, even Fishbach. I mean, Fishbach can move. He's unassuming, you know. But yeah, I would say he's easily the
We got
weakest.
Keith, who's just
He's
a
good at all the
god.
challenges.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I just want to. What number am I at? I'm kind of
So
losing.
you're at 14. You had Sierra at 15, a blank at 14. Then you just kind of hinted that Jeff was going to be your 13.
Right. That's exactly right. So I have Monica Padilla.
Okay.
And I can see her pulling kind of like a Corinne in Caramoan, where she's getting it a little too strategic. So I want to vote these people out. I want to get people out in my own tribe if there's a swap. And I can see her going kind of late pre-merge. It's kind of where I find her fitting in. That she's just trying to play the game too hard, too early. And that, I think she's already kind of viewed as kind of a sly, kind of snaky person. Just because I remember in Samoa, I don't know, she's just a little bit shady. And I think people are wary of her, and they know she's actually a threat. So,
She's so well.
That's true. But I mean, I also maybe a little bit of a Alexis in Cagayan, like really pretty, cute, but there's more than meets the eye, and they're actually playing the game. And it's just one of those late kind of pre-merge boots. So
I think I have Monica at 13, and I think the reason Monica ends up going, and I could be completely off with this, but I think the reason that she's going to end up going early when that Bayonne tribe loses is because the threats are going to say, you know what, let's get rid of her before she can become a threat, and let's not let somebody like her slide all the way through, because I think they all know Survivor pretty well. I mean, if you were applying for those early seasons, you were like obsessed with the show. And like I think like Jeremy loves it, Joe loves it. What do you call it? I don't know about Cass, but Kimmy loves it. Steven loves it, obviously. So, like, I feel like what's going to happen with Monica is people are going to be like, don't let her pull an Amber. Don't let her pull a Parvati. Don't let her hang around and show just how much of a strategist she is. And let's get rid of the seemingly non-threats or the non-targets before the big threats go. And I think that people coming in with a big target on their back might think like that because it happens in every All-Star season. The threats go early.
yeah, and I love how you said maybe someone will say she's like Parvati, and maybe that person will be Savage, and that would win me the prop bet.
Or Jeremy, because then I get the prop bet.
That could easily happen too.
Mm-hmm.
Except, they're on the same tribe. So
yeah, that's
we have Monica pretty just one spot away. We have Varner and then flip flopped because I have Varner at 13. We already talked about Varner.
I have Varner at 15. No, our last three were all the same but mixed up because I had Jeff, then Sierra, then Monica. You went Sierra, Monica, then Jeff.
Okay. And then my next one, this one was tough. I'm between two people, but I'm going to have to go with Spencer here. It makes me kind of sad because I want Spencer to go far, but I can totally see him going pre-merge. And I feel like Spencer's more likely to go than Steven out of the two strategists. I don't know why I feel that way.
I have Steven at 12.
I feel like Steven's more sociable and can really make bonds with people. And everyone knows Spencer's just that like 22-year-old, 23-year-old kid who just wants to strategize and win at all costs. Where Steven's like, I think he can come off as more of like a real person and not just this game player.
I just feel like unless Steven ends up on the tribe, I have Steven at 12, so I might as well just talk about it now while we're talking about like comparing these two. I feel like unless Steven ends up in a majority alliance, they're not going to let this guy make the merge because if he makes the merge, he could wreak so much havoc. I mean, that guy, if anybody on this season actually watched Token Chains, like if any of them actually watched it, he had so many alliances going so many different times. I mean, when he made the Exile Island alliance and like what was that with Brendan and Taj and Sierra, and then he had the alliance obviously with JT and stuff, and then he had the alliance with Coach and stuff. Like he had alliances with everybody, and really it would have worked out for him if he didn't go up against the god amongst men in the final. So it's like, I think that Steven, I don't know how they let him make the merge, but I see what you're saying where he's probably more social than Spencer, because Spencer, man, he really didn't have much of a filter in Cagayan. Like he lost his temper a lot. So I have Steven, you have Spencer, but I could see it either way, really.
if you call out just a random player, just took one from a hat, who are they going to get along better with, Spencer or Steven? I feel like the answer is Steven like 75% of the time. Just name a player right now.
Tony.
No, someone on the season.
Oh, on this season. Oh. All right. I mean, I don't even have to name him. I'm just looking at the list because I'm trying to name one that wouldn't get along with him better. I don't really see one, but I guess what it comes down to is, well, I guess nobody wants to sit next to either of them.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like Steven's in a way better position.
I could see it, but I could also see Steven being in the kind of the Vetus role where they're like, let's get rid of him before he can even play the game. So I like putting Steven at 12 just in case he does get booted early, like Sesternino did in All-Stars. Wouldn't that be something? And, then that would be it for Steven. So I have him like here in the middle because I don't see him winning, even though he can. I just don't see it happening. I could see him finishing 8th. I could see him finishing 16th. So I'll keep him at 12 and be kind of happy with it.
Alrighty.
And then my 11, after I defended her so hard, I have PG at 11. And really the reason with PG is I said I think she can win, but I don't think she's going to win. So I put her at 11 because I could see her finishing around the same she did in China, where she finishes like 5th place. Or I could see people just getting irritated with her and voting her out right away. So 11, I feel like, is a good spot for PG. I don't think she'll actually be the merge boot, but I'm kind of like hedging my bets here.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely like her as a player much more than I do. And I could definitely see her getting, 11, I feel like she's either going to go really early or make it pretty far. So I don't know about, maybe that's why you're putting an 11 just in case for either one, so you don't lose.
That is, because I don't know which one it's going to be, and I'm just trying to make sure I don't get that many points from PG.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, we've talked about her enough, I think. So I have Vetus next. And like you said, everyone knows he's a snake, and everyone knows that he's going to play hard. So why let him stick around? He's just too much of a threat.
Yeah, and I don't – he's another one kind of like Steven where I'm like, why are they going to let him make the merge? Like, why would you let Vetus make the merge when he can just, cause stuff to happen? And really, he got screwed by the blood versus water thing because Aris is probably one of the main reasons he got booted. Because they saw them as a power couple. Granted, Aris went first, but then after Aris went, it was like, well, let's get rid of Vetus before he can do anything. And I kind of want to see how Vetus plays alone, and I'm hoping that he's not the third boot like I have him. But I could definitely see Vetus just going, and that's it, He
didn't do anything that amazing on Blood vs. Water, though.
No, he's overrated. He's very overrated.
And it wasn't anything really strategically that he did. It was more socially, where he was on a tribe full of women that were all pretty tight. And then he somehow didn't get voted off. He like bonded with each one of them, went out of his way to tell them about like his drug issues and made everyone feel guilty for him. And then they ended up voting out one of their own. So, that was a great move. But besides that, that's all we really saw from him.
Yeah, I agree. I think Vetus is overrated, but I think that it's the type of overrated you don't want to be when you're coming back for an All-Star season. It's okay to be physically overrated because you can come out and just be crappy physically. But you don't want it like Colby was. Colby was so overrated physically when he came back finally for Heroes vs. Villains. It was like, oh, like the original hero. And he comes out and he just couldn't do anything. And even Rupert, he can't win a challenge. So they're overrated physically. Yeah, they can provide for you, but they weren't overrated strategically. And that's why they always made it far in their seasons other than All-Stars with Colby because Jerry just wanted them gone. But, yeah. So he's in I think Vetus in a really bad spot.
Yeah, I'll be cool to see if he's changed too. Maybe he's not so slimy and snaky, but I doubt it. Okay, we're close to the merge now.
The merge might have happened at 11, so that might have been our merge boots. The merge might even happen at 12, so Steven and Spencer might have been our merge boots, which would make a lot of sense because I could see both of them being merge boots if they got there. But if it's, 10, I doubt 10 is going to be the merge. They rarely do that anymore. They'll probably try to do it earlier and get everybody playing together.
I hear you. But we're most certainly into the individual part of the game now. Who you got?
I have Wigglesworth because I literally have no idea where to put her. I could see her being the first boot, and I could see her in some way she fools everybody and wins the game. Like, I could see Wigglesworth going anywhere, and because I had no reason to put her at 19 or a better reason to put her at 2, I couldn't figure out what to do with her, and I'm just hoping that she ends up making the merge and people are like, don't worry, or Kelly's on the wrong side of the numbers. Let's just get rid of her. She's an easy boot, and I could easily see her making it deep in this game, but I could also see her being a pre-merge boot just because people are like, what the hell is she doing?
Yeah, I don't have Kelly here, but I have her next. Right now, I have Joe, so we can talk about Kelly now. I pretty much agree with you. We don't know. I mean, she's the most changed since her season. Just years-wise. I mean, she's playing from the first season to there's been, 29 seasons in between her 2 seasons. That's insane. So I just don't have any read on her at all. So I agree with you there. I have Joe. I think I'm at 10 now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I have Joe at 10 just because don't eliminate Joe pre-merge. Just if you do that, I mean, I don't think there really is that great of a reason to, because he is so strong and he's not that much of a strategic threat. So when you make the merge, you're going to have a chance to get him out. He's not some crazy – we saw in Worlds Apart, yeah, he was super likable and he was so physically strong, but he never – like you were saying, we never saw him really put that much in effort to save himself. He was kind of like, oh, yes, I'm too big of a threat. See you later. So I think he's going to make the merge and then go very early once the merge hits. Maybe not be the merge boot, but yeah, I got him at 10.
Yeah, I don't have Joe at 9, or I don't have him yet, but I have him coming up. I agree with you though. Joe originally went from he's got to be one of the first people voted out because you're how strong he is physically, to just wait for him to lose an immunity challenge. I mean, there's enough players on this season. He's not going to win every immunity challenge. They mix it up enough now with puzzles, even though he's really good at them. There's people better at puzzles than Joe here. So I think Joe would have to go on a pretty crazy immunity run to last the entire time. Otherwise, I think he's going in somewhere in the merge, and he's going to kind of be pulled along, I feel like, because I don't think he's that strategic.
Yeah. I'm with you there. I think 10's perfect form. Who you got?
So you had 10 Joe, 9 Wigglesworth.
And then 9
Wigglesworth. Yeah, I had 10 Wigglesworth. My 9, I have Spencer. This is probably a little deeper in the game than most people think Spencer's actually going to go. I think that he's going to be useful to people at the beginning. I just don't think anybody's going to buy into his strategy. I think that the people coming into this game like a Jeremy or a Tasha or a Wentworth, they're going to have such an advantage here where when they walk up to people and say something, then people are going to believe it. And I feel like whatever Spencer says, people are going to be like, I don't believe him. He's probably playing all these sides. And it's going to end up getting him out. Maybe he goes pre-merge. I think he's going to make the merge, though, because I think he can adapt. I think he showed that in Cagayan. He adapted to that just crazy, harebrained tribe. And then he was able to adapt when he actually got onto the other tribes. And he was able to adapt when he hit the merge. So I think Spencer's going to be okay for a little bit. I'd love to see Spencer win this whole thing. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I would love to.
I don't think people are going to let him get that deep. But yeah, I have him at 9.
I'm rooting probably Spencer. I don't know. Spencer Steven number 1 for sure. I don't know which one I like better. But yeah, I would love to see. I just don't think he can.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at with it. And then if you want me to go to 8, at number 8, I actually have Terry. Kind of the same reason you had Joe. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, don't vote him out before the merge because he's Terry and he's strong. But once he hits the merge, don't let him get that deep. He's not that strategic. You just don't let him get deep enough where you can just win all these immunity challenges. There's going to be a chance to get rid of him. So I have him at 8. I said that he's going to get less than 5 votes in this game, and I still believe it. I think that it's going to be one of those, or he's going to get 5 or less votes. He's going to end up going out 5-3 here and never have a vote before it or something like that. So I think that Terry goes somewhere mid-merge. So I have him at 8.
Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable. At 8, I have Kimmy, and I think she's going to be one of those players that kind of sticks around a while into the merge because she might be a GOAT, or she might be, just totally new Kimmy and a great player. Or she might go kind of late pre-merge, so I've got to kind of defend against that. So I'm putting her more towards the middle at 8. And those are my main reasons for her. I don't remember Kimmy all that much. I mean, she wasn't on the show for that long. She just
No, and
she has one
only thing
moment with the chickens, and like that's it.
That's it.
So,
and it wasn't even her moment. That's Alicia's moment. I mean, if you do look though, if you go back and watch Australia, Kimmy gets a lot of screen time in Australia. Like she got a lot for a cast as good as Australia's that had half of the cast come. She got a lot of screen time in the little bit of time she was out on the island.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that it's not really indicative of placement so much as guess.
No, well,
but I like
her. Might have ended the season with like more confessionals than Alicia and Amber and Jeff Varner. Like I think that she was like up there where it was like a ridiculous amount per episode that she
definitely more than Amber. Amber in Australia was, I feel like Amber's a winner, but and she's played twice, and I still don't really know her that well.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to go with your 7, or do you want to say more about Kim?
I will go with 7 here. I'm gonna go with Wu, and the thing is, I don't see Wu going to the finals again, just because everyone knows he's been there before, and that he made the biggest mistake ever, and that he won't make that same mistake again, and that he's going to be, in his head's going to be more in the game going down the line, and he's a super likable guy, so they're going to try to, not that he's really strategic, but he's super likable, and that's threatening. So they're going to knock him off somewhere mid post-merge game around 7. So
okay, yeah,
I think you haven't said Wu yet, so maybe you have him deeper.
I have him even deeper. I think Wu is one of the people where if he went pre-merge, I'd be really shocked because there's no reason to get rid of this guy. He is not a threat to win the game. I don't feel like he's a threat really in any way, and all he can do is help you. And if you can get him on your side, he's a number that's never going to go away. So I have Wu going really deep because I'd be shocked if he goes early. I'm not saying him anytime. I'm not saying him yet. My 7 is Joe. We kind of said everything we need to say about Joe. You know how I don't really like Joe. Like I like Joe, but I wasn't a huge fan of Joe. So the less we can talk about him now, I got tired of talking about him last season. And then 6,
he's just not that complex. Like he's really good at challenges, and he's really likable, and that makes you way too much of a threat. Yeah. Not that we don't like him, or not that I don't like him.
And he can win. That's the thing. Like Wu is super likable and really good at challenges, but he can't win the game. Like that's the difference between the two of them, So like there's a little more complexity even in Wu.
It's so weird that we say that though, that like Wu can't win the game when he was so close in Cagayan. Just one.
I know.
Like how many letters difference? I mean, 4 letters. If Tony and Cass, 4 letters.
Yeah.
That's it. And he wins. He's the sole survivor. Amazing.
Probably the worst winner the show ever had, even though he probably would have gotten a way better edit.
Exactly. Totally would have gotten a better edit. But I mean, man, and we sit here now saying can't win. So it's hard to write him off completely, but I don't see him. I think he has a better chance than Joe, probably, I would say. Not if he got to the finals, but he has a better chance at getting to the finals.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. And yeah, once you get to the finals, all you have to do is get there against people that they like less than you. So It can be done.
Yeah, I don't think Wu could beat Joe head-to-head at a Finals Travel Council, but I don't see Joe in a million years. You could play the season a million times. Joe doesn't get to the final travel. Unless he goes on an immunity run, which...
Yeah, he would have to win every single immunity, pretty much. He'd have to pretty much pull an Aussie like he did on Redemption Island.
Pull a Mike.
Yeah, pull a Mike.
And there's too many other threats here. He's not the only one. But that could help him too. Okay, now you're at 6 now?
Yeah, and this is where I really get rid of the last person on this cast. Like my top 5, I'm not rooting for any of the top 5, but my number 6, I got Savage. Love Savage.
Top 5.
I think Savage. You have him at 5?
No. Keep going.
Oh, I don't know what you said. But I don't really have anything else to say about Savage because I've said so much about Savage. Either I think that he could be the merge boot if he's like the leader of an alliance, but he's another one. I just don't see why they get rid of him pre-merge, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're wrong on all of these. It's just based on the last time I watched these people play. There's no reason to get rid of him pre-merge and keep around like a Shireen or something. Like there just really isn't a reason. You can get rid of Savage at some point after the merge. You know what I mean? Or like, but he's only going to help you pre-merge with your tribe. So I don't see him going that early. I got him 6. And yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good pick. Savage is tough. We haven't seen him play in a while, and he was a big threat on his season, like the guy, the leader. I don't know if we'll see the same Savage. So tough one to put. I have Fishbach at 6, and I know he's such a big threat, but I'm rooting for this guy. I mean, this is probably as deep as I could put him without kind of losing too many points, because he very well could be a pre-merge boot because he isn't the strongest guy and he is such a threat strategically. But I love Steven Fishbach, man, and I want to root for him, and I got him at 6, and that's the main reason. Just because if he can squeeze his way into the merge and maybe have an idol, he's fun to watch, and he's so likable, pretty sociable, and I mean, it's Steven, man. Gotta love Steven. Yeah. And I hope he goes farther than 6th, but just in case he doesn't, I'm stopping him here.
I mean, I know that everybody who watched this last season, we each had like the people we liked and didn't like. This season, we're going to be very biased. Like, it's going to be a pretty biased season because there's like a handful of people who I really want to see win this game. And there's a handful of people I'm indifferent on them winning, and there's a handful of people I really want out of the game. So, like it's going to be a little more biased than last season. Like you at Steven, I would love to see Steven win the game. And if Steven makes like a baby move in this game, I'm probably going to be like, wow, that was the greatest move I ever saw, just because I like Steven. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's just going to be one of those things where, like, I can't help it because I want to see Steven go far. I want to see Savage go far. You know, and then I look at my top 5. These are my top 5 on the boot list, and I really don't care if any of them go far. I really don't. Maybe one of them I'll root for, but I have 3 people from San Juan del Sur and 2 people from Cagayan in my top 5. And it's the 2 people I was like the least invested in on Cagayan, and I could care less about all the people on San Juan del Sur.
I was thinking about doing a top final 3 of San Juan del Sur.
I almost did, even on accident. Like, I actually switched one around because I had it like that, and I switched it around where I only have one of them in the final 3. But
I have 2. So
okay. Well, let's get into it. I noticed that you don't have your hashtag blindside man called out yet. You haven't called him out yet, and you were really heavy on Terry getting hashtag blindside. Is he number 5 for you?
He is number 5, but that doesn't mean it's not like blindsides don't happen at 5. And also, these are 2 separate games, and the thing with Terry is I think he's going to make the merge. I think. Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of putting him, and I could see him kind of going pretty far because he can win immunities. So I think 5th is a fine spot for Terry, even though I don't think he's the most strategically sound person. He could easily get blindsided, like I was saying, 2 podcasts ago, I think, when I said he's the hashtag blindside guy, just because I think he could have a false sense of power, like he's leading the team and everyone likes him, and then boom, you have so many strategists, so many threats that he could get out early. But yeah, 5 I think works for him there. And then 4, this is to make sure I don't have my San Juan del Sur final 3. I got Keith at 4. I was tough with Keith though, because I thought about putting him kind of early because he's pretty old, and I don't know if he's going to really get along with everybody, especially when everyone saw the stick to the plan moment. Is that really a guy you want to work with? But then you think about it, yeah, but he's not really a threat. We can keep him around. We can get him out later. And there's so many people that are on your mind that you are just dying to get out of the game. Keith is not one of them.
You know, Keith reminds me, and this is like going way back, but just because on Twitter the other day, I forget, I think it's like Survivor Quotes or something, had tweeted Rob Cisternino voting out Butch, and it said, not all the firewood in the forest could save you tonight. And like, or could keep your torch lit tonight. Like, whatever he said, but that's who I think Keith is like. He's like Butch, but a funnier Butch, where it's like he's just this weird guy who's not going to win the game, but he's going to hang around long enough where you get to like him and you get to know him, and you're like, it's kind of funny that he's still in the game, just like he did in San Juan del Sur. It was crazy to sit there and be like, wow, Keith is here, and this is the one that I'm really rooting for. Like, I like that Natalie won that season, but I was rooting for Keith. Like, so it's funny that
I was
happens.
maybe rooting for Keith from like who's the most likable person that I want to win.
Who would I want to hang out with?
But for the title of sole survivor and the integrity of the game, you had to be rooting for Natalie. Just because if Keith wins, it's just like, I like the dude a lot, but it's just it kind of takes away from Survivor. It's like if Keith can win doing what he did, that means it's all luck and anyone can do it. And that's not what we want to have happen.
We could have had back-to-back seasons where Wu goes to the final against Cass and wins, and then the next season Keith goes to the final and wins. Could you imagine Wu and then Keith being back-to-back winners of Survivor?
And then Rodney wins the fire making challenge, and then you have
and he wins. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. It really is crazy because Rodney could have won that game. I really do
and
think he could have. That would have been insane.
31 season 31 may not have happened then. They might just get canceled after that.
Right? Like, how do people stay interested if Woo and then oh my god, that's just crazy.
I mean, those are all really likable, funny guys, but it's just not the people you want as your winner.
Exactly. Natalie is so much better of a winner than Keith, but I was rooting for Keith. But Natalie is such a better winner than Keith. You know, like Tony, I mean, I love Tony, so I'm not going to, there's no difference there, but it's just, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the three people I've left down here are all people I think I can, you know, they can win. That's why they're down here. They're not, it's not like I strung them along for being a GOAT because there's multiple people that could be GOATs. I can't put my money on any one GOAT going far in the boot list, but I'm putting three people here that they all have a shot to win.
All right. Well, I have one GOAT. Anyway, my number 5 is Keith, so now you know who my GOAT is. But number 5, I have Keith because it's weird that we're both so high on Keith, and it's not because we think that he's that good of a player. It's just we think he's so unthreatening. But at the same time, there's other unthreatening people that we have going so early. So it's weird that we like just think Keith's going to be able to skate along, whereas somebody like, I don't know. Actually, there's really no way to compare him to anybody because Keith is going to be strung along, but he's also pleasant to be around, whereas the other ones that we had going earlier aren't pleasant to be around. So that's really why Keith is here, and somebody like Abby Maria or Cass is all the way back at 20 and 19.
Right, and Keith is also very good at challenges, and we hope he can, you know, provide that again.
Yeah, and a little spitting. But my number 4. I'm so high on her, and I think I picked her first overall in our fantasy draft, and I have her like, you know, I think that she probably has the best chance to win. I think I put her as the winner in our prop bet game, but I'm going to put her at 4 here. I got Kelly Wentworth just because I didn't want to have her as like my winner thing for everything. Like, let me at least be able to root for like somebody else that's going to get me points because I'm not rooting for Kelly Wentworth. I don't mind if Kelly Wentworth goes far. I just think that she can. I don't have anything against Kelly Wentworth. But in terms of people I was excited to see back on the season, Kelly Wentworth, I was like, okay, she's there, whatever. Like, it wasn't important for me that Kelly Wentworth got on this season. I'm completely fine that she is, but if she goes out early, I'm not going to be heartbroken by it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be heartbroken either, but I expect her to do well. Yeah, no, I like her. We didn't see much of her in San Juan del Sur, and I can't say I love her yet, but I think she has the potential to be really fun to watch and, you know, a good player. So do you want to just end your list here? Because we're just getting down to it. If you want to just explain your final picks, or if you want me to go first, I can do that.
Number 3, I have Woo because I think Woo is going to get really far in this game. I think he makes the merge easy, and then I think he still skates by. I just think it'd be funny if he ends up making it to the final tribal again and loses. Number 2, I have Jeremy. And the reason I have Jeremy at 2, I think that Jeremy is going to go far in this game. I think people are underestimating Jeremy. I think they're so worried about people like Steven and Spencer and Vitas and Joe and Terry and Savage. And for the girls, they're worried about PG, Sierra, you know, like that type of thing. I think Jeremy he's going to be the most underestimated going into this game. But what I didn't like about Jeremy's game is in San Juan del Sur, yeah, he was funny and he gave good confessionals. But he was pretty abrasive. Like, yeah, he was probably nice to those guys, but he was grumpy. He was a grumpy man. Whereas Josh, I know there's not a lot of Team Josh people out there, but I was totally on Team Josh because I thought Josh was way more funny and way more entertaining to watch, and he was so much more positive. Jeremy was just like grumpy every time. It was funny, but I think that he could rub people the wrong way. And I have Tasha at number 1 because I think she is the most underestimated. I thought Jeremy will be right there with her. And that's why I have them as my top 2. But I think Tasha is the most underestimated person coming into the season. I feel like people forget that Tasha's on the season. I feel like that people forget how good Tasha is at challenges. I think people forget how nice Tasha was to everybody. I really do think that Tasha could go out there and win this thing and do it pretty quietly, but also pretty like handedly. So,
yeah, I think Tasha will kind of skate through until maybe around 7 or 8, and then people are like, we got to watch out for her then. And I don't think she's going to make the finals. I do have her at 3, just in case she does kind of go really far, but I think she'll certainly be a merge player. I put her as my jury member bet just because I'm very, very confident that she'll make the merge because she is so strong. Be a final 3? No, I mean this is just for the bootlist stuff. I think it probably is going to be a final 3, but yeah. just the way I'm setting up the boot list, Tasha has to come in at 3. And then I got Kelly Wentworth at 2, mainly for the same reasons that you said. I mean, this might be putting her way too far down, but if I'm playing against you, who I need to beat, it's okay to have her this far because you have her. What, you have her at 4 or 3?
I have her at 4, yeah.
4.
We almost had the same final 3. I had Wentworth over Wu, and then I was like, let me just put Wu there, and in case Wentworth goes earlier, it saves me a point. But we almost had the same final 3.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the thinking for this season is so much that I've read and people talking about. It's going to be Monica and Kelly have the best chance to win this game just because they're kind of under the radar female players. And I think Monica is kind of a snake a little bit. She's a little shady. And I think people are more wary of Monica than they are Kelly. And that's why I think Kelly is going to go farther. And then I'm having Jeremy be my winner because I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. I want to root for, I mean, I have probably Spencer and Steven as like my fan favorite people I'm rooting for, but I really don't think they can win. Jeremy is, I like Jeremy. He was probably my favorite character on San Juan del Sur besides Drew Christie. And he was my first pick in the fantasy draft. I put him as the winner pick in my prop bet game. So I'm going to put the winner here for my boot list. And if Jeremy wins, I'm going to win like all the games. So go Jeremy.
It'd be funny though if Jeremy wins and you lose all the games still. That would be funny.
I mean, yeah, that could happen. That would be a bummer.
That would be funny. All right, do you want to go? Those are our boot lists. You want to go over some of the comments? I mean, even last time, so we can kind of talk about what we're going to do in the future. You want to just do that?
Sure, yeah, let's run through them.
All right, hang on. Do you want to do this one first, or you want to do some of the other ones on the last video? We're finally going back to we haven't done comments in a while.
Yeah, let's go to the last one. There's some funny suggestions for the next podcast, like a mortality bet where you pick. I don't know who said it. It was really funny where you say like which survivor is going to be the next to die or something like that. Kind of dark, but I assume it was kind of a joke.
Son of Nuo said it. He said you should do a mortality draft of past players who will live the longest. I don't know if we can do that as a thing without it just being so mean-spirited of us sitting here arguing like, no, he's definitely going to die first or she's definitely going to die first. Like, I feel like that would just be so mean-spirited. But at the same time, it's kind of funny because, like, that was always one of the things for the longest time. I mean, through 20 seasons of Survivor, nobody had died until Jen Lyon died right around the end of Heroes versus Villains.
Wait, didn't BB die first?
No, BB just died. BB died last year.
Really? Oh, really? Did he die?
And then Caleb died too. So there were so many things where people would just make like posts of like, oh, BB died now. Cause like everybody just said it all the time. But I think Sonya's still alive. Like, so, I mean, it was kind of one of those things where it was like, I sneezed. It was one of those things where like Survivor people hadn't really died. And then, it's a shame, but I don't think we could do that one as a podcast. Still a funny idea.
It was a joke. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it was a joke. I mean, people.
Oh, I'm just saying,
celebrity.
With how
people have celebrity
death, we might.
Nah, there was one that was first boot ranking, and I think that's a fun one. Could be a little silly, and it's kind of like, how are we even basing this? But it could be fun to talk about. So there's definitely that.
I think that would be because that. Other than Francesca, I mean, all the first boots kind of just get overlooked forever, except for Francesca. And there were some entertaining first boots that came out on the show, and it'd be kind of fun to rank them just to rank them. And I think that would be the only rankings that we really disagreed on a lot. Like, we would probably really disagree on those,
I'm kind of losing you a bit here. I think. I mean, it's good this is happening at the end and not during our boot list stuff. Do you have any comments for this video that you want to read?
I don't know. I know we were getting them early. Can you hear me now or no?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can hear my. Hang on. All right. Survivor Lover, you guys should do a season comparison. Yo, unplug real quick and then back. Myself today. Yeah, this is science over here, guys. This is science. Now it's better. Okay. Survivor Lover says you guys should do a Survivor season comparison. For example, Fiji and San Juan del Sur, because they both have bad cast and boring. I mean, I've thought about like I've thought to myself we should do what do you call it? Season comparisons, but like that would just get so tedious, and we would just like.
I can see something like that. Maybe not season, something where you just draw a random player or a random season, and you have to say which one you like better. The only problem is it might be too obvious. And we've already done our season rankings. We've already done our season rankings. It's interesting. I like the pairings, and maybe something random that could be fun. So we'll think on that.
And then Survivor Lover also said Keith is going to go very far and win a lot of challenges, but is he too dumb to, or he is too dumb to win? What if the final three were Keith, Wu, and Shireen? What happens?
I mean, we'd have to see how they got there and stuff.
I think that just based on
Wu
names,
did something
Keith
right.
wins.
Maybe. I think Keith can win. I don't think it's impossible. I don't like Wu and Keith's chances though. I certainly don't like Shireen's.
Cole Jordan, which tribe do you like better? I like TKO better, but I think the tribes are even in the challenges because I think TKO has some really smart players. We both think Bayonne's going to win early and often and a lot.
Yeah, because they have Steven and Joe for like puzzles.
Yeah,
and they're both
Jeremy and Keith, who's like a wizard.
And then, yeah.
Sierra, and who's not physical but is smart. And I think they have the stronger women and the stronger men.
Yeah, Tasha and Monica are certainly capable. Yeah. Tasha's really capable.
Yeah.
So exactly. Yeah, we both said we liked them better.
Yeah, and then we had the yelling of Saray. Steel Punch, Steel Punch. One of the most underrated players is Wes from San Juan del Sur. I just rewatched his horrible season, and no one thought John on Copaya was John Rocker until Wes spread the word. Without him, San Juan del Sur could have been worse. Does that make Wes that underrated, or is this another Steel Punch jumping on the West train because Dan's done?
I think it's just he wants to say something stupid.
He said, though, he won't be able to comment live on useless people like he did with Dan. He has night courses on Wednesdays. So we're going to miss out on his stupid comments, that was his words, not ours.
Well, he can comment on the power ranking videos that we do every Monday or Sunday.
Yeah.
So our prediction episodes. So we'll see you there, Steel Punch.
A lot of these are just people kind of putting in their boot list orders, which is hard to go through because there's like a bunch and then. But
feel free to do that, and if anyone else wants to grade them all,
Yeah, I know somebody last year had made a website for it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so we can get that up and running, and then we can have fun with this. But remember, the buff is not for this game. The buff is for the prop bet game. That's just to make sure we don't get spoilers. Boot orders do come out, so especially with so many returning players, and everyone's all connected in the internet and that stuff. So make sure to make a prop bet list. That's way more important.
Yeah, that's the one where you could actually get
You have anything else, Phil?
No, I think we're good. I know we're trying to keep the power rankings for the end to do it right before the episode. And I know we were also trying to keep it as far from the boot list as possible.
Yeah, just because they're similar. It's us going through the 20 players. I think they're going to do well. I think they're not going to do well.
So what do we have? 2 more that we actually have to do? Because I'm assuming it's 5 weeks out. We just did this one. So now we have 4 more that we have to do. And we'll probably just do the power rankings right before the episode.
So we have 3 empty weeks.
There's no way. Get out of here.
We'll come up with something.
We'll figure something out. I wouldn't be surprised if you do.
No, I think it's 4. No, I think we have 4 weeks until the show. So that's only. I think we only have to do 3 podcasts.
Yeah, there's only 4 weeks.
One is going to be the. Yeah. So one is going to be the power rankings, and then we have 2 empty right now. I think the first boot one sounds fun, and then we have one other game, don't we? No.
No, we still have 4 weeks.
We have that like contender game that we're going to do, but we'll explain that later. That's not a whole podcast.
That would be a whole podcast. But no, that we do actually have 4 more we have to do. We have to do the last week of August, the first week of September, the second week of September, and then the last one would be the power ranking. So we actually do have 3 empty weeks right now.
Oh man. Jesus. All right, we'll figure it out. Let us know your, suggestions in the comments. Jokes are welcome, as also, real suggestions too. So, thank you for listening, and we'll probably see you next week.